everybody, welcome to Join Her. As you can see today, we have a special guest. You can introduce yourself.
Brent Turner.
All right. We're going to be talking about communication and different types of relationships. So I'm just going to be basically, Brent today, we're going to be talking about why do you think communication is important in relationships and what type of relationships. So I guess to start off, we can talk about how do you view communication, like what it is?
Communication is the most effective tool that mankind needs to be successful in anything that you do.
Okay. And how do you filter that throughout your relationships, and what kind of relationships?
Give me an example of relationship first.
So you have personal relationships, you have business relationships, professional relationships, just different interactions that you have throughout life, whether it be like I said, the professional setting, personal setting.
So we're going to start off with relationships first. Which one would you like to start with? Business or professional? Or
whichever you're comfortable with.
Okay, well, comfortable with all of them, but...
Okay, we start with business.
Okay, business. Business relationship. Obviously, you're going to need to communicate with all parties involved. Your expectations, what do you want done, what outcomes, what you're bringing to the table, what they're bringing to the table. And you will want to communicate up front, everything up front. You don't want some back end things happening to you. Then you're going to get upset, emotions are going to start, it's going to lead to mistrust and things like that. But if you verbally communicate everything up front, you won't have any problems.
That is true. I agree with that. A lot of people aren't upfront with their communication, so that causes you have misinterpretation of goals, and just a lot of things that you don't really know. Moving on to a lot of things something that I talk about a lot is networking and communication within networking, how to use it effectively. So how do you effectively use communication when you're networking with people?
In what regards to networking?
So I'll go in the regards of professional networking.
Well, usually I like to just talk to them, get to know the basics, name, what you're into, where you're at in life, where you want to go. Professional business networking, just ask them what type of business they're involved in. Mm-hmm. Especially if you want to try to get involved, you always try to be of service to people, especially if you have nothing to bring to the table.
That is true.
So you will always of service and see how you can be there to help them out, especially if they have more than what you got or what you need. Or if it's a 50-50, if you both can bring something equally to the table, you just verbally communicate what you have, what they have, and what you guys both feel like you guys can do. Sometimes in business, it doesn't work out. That doesn't mean you guys can't still have a personal relationship. It just means business-wise, it's just not going to work.
That's true. Okay, so another thing I want to get your opinion on is what kind of communication do you use with your friendships and family members? So a little bit more on the personal aspect side.
With friends, sometimes it depends on the type of person you're dealing with. Some friends, you can tell them straight up front, this is what it is, you're messing up, you need to do this, and I don't like this, and all this stuff. Some people, you got to change your approach on how you deal with them. You got to give them different stories, or how they, as a kid, they used to give you stories so you can learn from different scenarios. So you'll do things like that. Or you have to talk to them in a different tone, a nice subtle tone, or let them know, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what's going to happen if this continues, or I don't like it when you do this, or what is it that you think I need to be doing, or let's all get on the same page, things like that. It's just different styles of communication, but you have to communicate and get your point across, and so both parties are understood.
So then the next one, which is the juicy one, relationships, personal relationships. So I don't know if you have experience in being in relationships.
You mean intimate sexual relationships?
Yeah,
like
dating people and stuff like that. You ain't gotta put all your business out there. But
I have some experience in that.
have you communicated, and how do you think has been the most effective way, as well as the least effective way to communicate in those type of relationships?
I think the least effective way is passive aggressiveness. In communicating things. A lot of people, when they jump into relationships, they get the physical aspects first instead of just verbally communicating what's going on. Because 9 times out of 10, well, I'm not going to say 9 times out of 10, but the majority of the time when relationships fail, it's simply because they started having sex first, and then they really didn't know the people were. Some people went into, oh, I thought we were just going to have sex and all this stuff, and the other person wanted something more than that, but it was never communicated up front. So that's why I said if you communicate everything up front, relationships is kind of like a job application. You have to write down things that you like, there's things that you don't like, and the same thing with them. Well, this is my personal experience, and then you can go from there. But as far as like soulmates and things like that, I don't know. I heard this one song, Beyonce and Jay-Z, is called Hood Effect. She's this old one. She said you break all these eggshells and then you try to put them all together, and then whichever pieces fit, that's what's supposed to go for you. Same thing with your relationships. You know what works for you, and you know what doesn't work for you. So figure out what fits for you. Like I said, it doesn't matter what they look like or what they say. Well, sometimes that does play into the factor, but for you, what makes you happy brings your peace of mind. Like if you're a hustler or a hard worker, and you're very ambitious, you're also going to want somebody that can compliment you, that can help you excel. Or also you're probably going to need the type of person that can hold you down, make you stay grounded, and compliment you for where you slack off at. They can be right there to get you back on track and help enhance everything that you're trying to do in your lifestyle.
Something that I had talked about in another video, it was explaining the difference between situationships and relationships. So how you had kind of talked about like the communication within relationships and personal relationships. How do you think that our generation handles communication within that? Do you think there's a more effective way that we could be doing that in a way where we could end up in better relationships? Because a lot of people that I know, they're like, well, they like always try to like put failed communication on other people, and they don't really take responsibility for their failed communication or knowing their styles of communication. Like a lot of people don't know how they communicate.
Well, our generation, like I think people are still figuring out who they are themselves. It's too much of social media going on where you're trying to be this person or be that person. Figure out who you are as a person at first. And then from there, you can start figuring out if you're ready to be in a relationship, a situationship. And then also at this day and age, just been going on since the beginning of time, some people like to be with more than one person, but they don't necessarily communicate that. So now you just have to let someone know, look, this is what I like and this is what I'm going to do. It's either they're with it or they're not going to be with it. And then some people like to be with one person. I refer back to like the animal kingdom. Like you go to Africa, you see one lion, a male lion, he's running around. He got 5 lionesses around there. And another time you might just see one male lion, one female lion with a bunch of cubs. But that man lion, he's out there communicating, roaring through the jungle. Hey, this is mine. This everybody knows. So then, our generation, like I said, you can't get caught up in then what I like to call shiny pennies. So
yeah, they look good.
It look good, but it's only worth a penny. So you can't get caught up in things like that. So just communicate and don't be afraid. Like what do people say? Shoot the shot. Shoot the shot. Don't just be scared. Just communicate. Hey, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You win some, you lose some.
That is true.
Just keep it pushing. You'll find another one.
So with your experience with communication and networking with people, being in grad school, the different type of things that you learn and that you've done, what would you say that your communication style is? And how did you identify that?
My communication style, I would have to say it's I'm direct, I'm upfront, personal, like I'm interpersonal, and persuasive a little. all wrapped in one. So it depends on the type of person that I'm dealing with. If it's family, I try to keep family and business separated, but sometimes I mix in between the two because I'll feel bad and I'm like, all right, let me try to help you jumpstart your stuff, but then it ends up taking more than what's coming out of me, so I have to fall back. And then sometimes there's basic communal relationships where it's just like a give take, but there's nothing. We're not thinking about a long term run, trying to get things out of it. We're just how we are. And I have like friends and things like that. And then I have family, and then I have friends that I consider family. Where it's like what I have, you have, but don't try to keep bringing stuff to the table too. You guys keep doing what we're doing, and then if we have a similar common goal, then we stick to the goal. But we help each other. Like if Tupac had this one line in the song, he said, "Hard times make a true friend afraid to ask for currency, but you can run to me if you need me. I never leave. All I need is something to believe in." As you can see, it's a small thing, true and true. But what could I do? Real homies help you get through and come in new. Because he do the same thing if he could. Because in the hood, true homies make you feel good. And that's the same thing that I live by. If I got it and I see you need it, I'm going to help you out and all this stuff. All I ask in return is that you stay true and you do the same thing to me and don't try to like get over or things like that. Because then it'll mess up the whole relationship where I'm still going to have love for you, everything, but I'm never going to look out for you, help you out, and things like that. But I'm not going to turn my back on you.
Good answer. Is there anything else you want to say to the viewers? Like anything that like what's important about communication, why you choose to communicate the way that you do?
Communication is the key. Because like I said, you figure out who you are as a person and you know. And then sometimes you hold stuff in and you thinking people are doing stuff, and then you passively aggressive, or you'll just explode one day and then like, where did that come from?
Oh yeah.
But you never communicated what was going on, the problem. But that's why you need to communicate. Communication usually is lack of communication usually is the majority of most problems in any relationships, because you're not communicating what's going on, or you wait till the last minute, or you're not being very direct, or they're not understanding exactly what's going on. So that's why you always have to say, like a parent, you understand what I'm saying? Or as like you say, where we from, you feel me? You feel me? And then if you really don't know, just don't go, yeah, I know what you're talking about. You go, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. You got to explain it a different way.
I think that's important because a lot of people don't know their communication styles, or they don't know how the people that they're talking to, how they communicate specifically. So they kind of just expect people to take what they're saying and like view it in the same way. When people have different experiences, people have different perspectives, people have different ways of processing information. And a big thing is feedback. Like a lot of people, like you said, you have to be able to have that response. Like, do you get what I'm saying? And I think sometimes people don't put that out there. They'll just say it and then be like, well, I said it. Well, was it clarified? Was it understood? Was the message sent and received properly? That's really important to take into consideration.
Yeah. And then just back to like with relationships again. Know yourself before you try to commit yourself to somebody else. Know who you are and be in love with yourself first, because the love you'll try to give to somebody else will mean absolutely nothing if you don't love yourself first.
That is true. That is really true.
Yeah, and then just communicate and don't get tricked. Do all your research on a person. It takes like about 2 to 3 years to really know a person.
That is a really good point. I was having and this isn't to get off topic, but I was having a conversation with my friend, and we were talking about like doing research on people, and he's a male, so he was kind of like, what? But like females obviously need, and this isn't to like stereotype anybody or anything, but we do a lot of research. Like I'll pull up somebody in a minute and be like, oh, this is just, you're just used to that. But I think that's a really good point that you bring up, being able to do your research on someone and just getting to know them and who they are before you kind of like throw it out there. Like, that was a good point. Sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead. I like throwing as much stuff as you can. As far as you and everything with relationships, everything that you ask me, What's your take on things?
Oh my goodness, I asked you a lot of questions. What's the first one?
Business.
Business. Business relationships, I feel like you have to be careful with. Communication has to be direct, especially if it's involving like money and contracts, and like if it's outsourcing. It depends on what type of business you're doing, because if you don't have the correct wording, that can lead to lawsuits. It can lead to all different type of problems that you would never even see coming. So as far as business communication, you have to cover all aspects and then go over it again, like make sure, like you need to have a checklist. Talk about this, and this. And then I think a problem that a lot of businesses like make when they're like communicating what they want and what they need, they don't talk about the negatives. Everybody wants to talk about the positives and this is what's going on and it can be so successful. Okay, what about your failures? What about the things that can hurt your business? What about the things that you're not doing that can hurt your customers, that can hurt you? Like, so on a business aspect, that has to be taken serious, and all communication has to be taken serious. Just looking at it from that point of view.
Personal, and then these situationships that you got.
Ha! Okay, personal. So for me, personal is like family, friends, relationships, but I believe the relationships with the situationships. Personal and like friends and family. I am very direct. If I am feeling a certain way or if I am thinking something, you will know. Like, that's just how I am. I can't hide my expressions on my face. Like, I can't. Like, you'll know. Like, if I'm like, looking at somebody look crazy, like, give me like. But then, like, sometimes I'm in my head thinking, so like my face may actually like be weird. Family. So I have like 3 sisters, and my parents have always been really encourage us to be very outspoken. So communication, I'm direct. This is the problem. This is what's going on. This is how I feel. But I will say it in a respectful way. I'm not gonna be disrespectful with my communication or be in a way where I feel like I'm offending someone, because that's just not cool. As someone who studies communication, I have to take in that people have different perspectives of a lot of things. So I try to be really conscious of what I say and how I say it, because that makes a difference. To the relational and situationship. Oh man. Situationships and relationships, communication. I feel like it depends on what your intentions are. And I know this sounds bad because most people are like, you should be direct, or you should make your intentions clear. You should make your intentions clear. That is the most key thing with someone. And this may just be the realistic side of me. Sometimes people don't want to make their intentions clear. Sometimes people will be like, I want you to think is this, so you react in a way that I want you to react. So it's kind of like a way of manipulation. And that works for some people.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side of it of, I think a lot of people go through situations where they have been in relationships or situations where they've been hurt. So they don't disclose as much. They don't tell people who they are. They don't tell people what they like, because they feel like they feel like they're too vulnerable. And then on the other flip side, you have people that are too vulnerable and they let you know everything. That first second you meet them, you like, hold on, I just asked you what your name was. Like, now you didn't let me know your blood type and social security number and all this. You just like, whoa.
Too much.
Yeah, too much. So it's just like, it's just the fact of knowing your intentions, knowing the other person's intentions. One thing I do believe is you're not going to 100% know someone's intentions. You're just not. No. Because they may tell you one thing, but what they may say may be communicated differently from you. And some people can't always express what they are thinking or what they're feeling or what they're trying to communicate to you in a way that is effective.
So watch their actions.
Exactly. I'm a huge believer of actions speak louder than words. That Correct. Is one thing that you may say one thing, but if your actions ain't matching up,
show them something else.
Exactly. Like, why? Okay, you said this, but you're doing this, and it's like, why did it mean? Well, no, do what you mean. So yeah, it's just an aspect of knowing how you communicate, and I think that's something that even I've had to learn. That how I communicate, how what I say affects other people. I've had to be really mindful of things that I do say and how I say things, because I used to would just say whatever I was thinking and be like,
yeah, I have to learn not to do that also.
yeah, and you know, sometimes it's hard because it's like, well, I want to be an honest person.
Yeah.
But it's like you can't always be an honest person because not everybody needs to know what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody needs that honesty. Sometimes you gotta be discreet and kind of just fill out a scene before you go in there blurting off whatever you're thinking. Like, that can be the difference between a job, that can be the difference between a career, a huge deal. Like, I have met so many people and have had so many pretty cool opportunities, even just like with interning and stuff, just being able to learn the art of shutting up. Just, that is something that at first I was like, man, that's rude. But I was like, no, the art of shutting up is just like listening. Like, hold your tongue sometimes and like actually take the time to listen to what people were saying. Because we get so caught up in, oh, you're saying this, I'm ready to respond, that we don't actually, let me process what you're saying. Process it a little more and then give you my response and not have a response ready. So communication, especially with, oh gosh, with social media, oh good gosh, it is, it's good and bad. Like, social media has taken communication to a whole new level that has been detrimental but also powerful on how you use it. But leaving that responsibility to consumers can kind of be dangerous, as we can see with a lot of things that go on in the world. But I mean, I love communication, not that I'm biased or anything. I kind of am. But I love it. It makes the world go round. It literally changes. I don't know. I'm a firm believer in what you do and how you act literally can save someone's life.
Yeah.
So how you communicate with people, even just walking past saying hi, or like walking past and smiling. Like, when I first came here, like, nobody was talking to me because I was like, oh my gosh, everybody knows I was like, I knew people knew that I was new because I came in the spring semester. So, you know, everybody already has their friends and their cliques. And I was like, this is horrible. But then I got involved and you start talking to people, just taking that initiative, and you meet so many people. Like, and it's dope. It's cool. So, yeah, man, communication is a great thing, but it's dangerous. It is dangerous. And I think once you understand it's dangerous, you learn how it can be dangerous.
You just say you understand the power of it.
Yeah, that's the power of it. That's definitely a better way to say it. I don't want y'all not going around talking to people thinking like, oh, if I say this, like, no. But with power comes responsibility. Great responsibility. So
there you go, Peter Parker.
Yeah, but I definitely want to thank you for tuning in to join her and being on the channel. Is there anything else you want to say to the viewers?
No, just communicate.
Well, you guys all have a great day. Like the video, subscribe, share. If you have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to put them below. And thank you. Have a wonderful day. Remember to be great.